The real ending of the future of the universe will not have a big explosion, nor will it be swallowed up by black holes. The real ending of the universe is much more mysterious than any sci-fi movie or novel you have ever seen. I'm not kidding. This is all calculated step by step by scientists using serious physical formulas. You may think that such a ridiculous thing is far from us, but in fact, the sun, the moon, and the stars that we look up at every day have already hidden clues to this ending. We currently feel that these stars seem to hang there forever, right? But have you ever seriously thought about what the universe would look like if all of this disappeared one day? Please note that what I'm talking about is not hundreds of years or thousands of years, but the distant future tens of thousands of years later. At that time, not only will all the stars be completely extinguished, but even time itself may completely lose its meaning. What's more ridiculous is that we now think that the physical laws that are so obvious may actually be completely invalid. Does it sound very exaggerated? Don't worry. Next, I'll show you with my own eyes what the real ending of the universe is like. To be honest, the era we are in now is definitely the luckiest generation in the universe, because the universe is now full of bright stars everywhere. It's like a super luxurious light show. It's completely free to show us. But there's a problem you may not have noticed. The universe is not born to be so lively. What's more terrible is that it won't be so lively in the future. A star is actually a luxury in the universe. Why? Because the fuel elements they consume are produced by the universe in a single breath when it is born. It will never increase after it is produced. Every star is like a certain amount of fuel at the time of the birth of the universe. The longer the fuel burns, the longer the life. The life of all planet has actually been arranged by the universe. A long time ago, in the 1930s, there was an Indian-American scientist, Chandrasekhar. He made a very amazing discovery. He found that the ending of a planet has been strictly stipulated from the day it was born. What will a planet eventually become? It doesn't matter how bright it is or how many stars it has. The only thing that matters is its weight. A medium-sized planet like our sun will grow into a red giant star by the end of the year. Everyone knows this, right? But what few people know is that when the sun becomes a red giant star, the Earth will not be swallowed directly, but will be pushed to a further orbit by the strong radiation of the sun. Then it will become a lonely planet with no life at all. Later, the sun will slowly disperse the outer material into the space of the universe. There is a super dense little star left. Scientists call it the white dwarf star. But what's really amazing is that those super huge stars will explode in the last second of a particularly large star life and become superstars. The moment it explodes, the energy it releases is actually more than the energy released by all the stars in the entire galaxy at the same time. What's even more strange is that some of the cores of giant stars are compressed in an instant when they explode and become something called a neutron star. This little bit of matter that's as big as a spoon can actually weigh more than 1 billion tons. It's so heavy that you can't imagine. There are some even bigger and crazier stars. The moment they explode, the density of their cores becomes even more outrageous, leading to a complete transformation of the surrounding space and the creation of the most terrifying thing in the universe, which is the black hole. If you can see these star-dead scenes up close, it's definitely the most spectacular and scary picture in the universe. Think back to the stars we see all over the sky. But who would have thought that their ending could be so crazy? What's even more annoying is that these crazy star explosions are just a little bit of a gap before the end of the universe. What's really strange is that it's only when all these stars are destroyed that they slowly begin to appear. That is, there is only a black hole left in the universe. Black holes are usually heard a lot. You think it's a scary celestial body that can suck in anything, right? But what's really strange is that the black hole doesn't actually take the initiative to swallow anything. It can even stay super quiet and do nothing for tens of years, hundreds of years, and even thousands of years. The reason why the black hole is black is because its gravity is so strong that it can't even escape the light. But what many people don't know is that the black hole doesn't actually stay black forever. It will evaporate and disappear. It sounds a little mysterious, but it's true. Everyone knows that the black hole is not actually black. They actually emit energy. This phenomenon was later named by scientists as golden radiation. Simply put, Countless particles will always appear, sometimes half of them fall into the black hole and half of them escape. The escaped particles take away some of the energy of the black hole. But don't get me wrong, the process is very slow. The bigger the black hole, the slower it evaporates. For example, the supermassive black hole will completely evaporate. Scientists estimate that it will take at least 100 billion years. This is many times longer than the history of the universe, which is now 13.8 billion years old. In other words, most of the time in the future, the protagonist will be these particularly boring, particularly lonely black holes. They quietly float in the dark and do nothing. Occasionally, they will bump into star fragments or white love stars. They may suck it in and eat it as a snack. But most of the time, they just float like that, like the loneliest ghost in the universe. The strangest thing is that when these black holes evaporate to the last moment, there will be no violent explosion or flash of light, but a very gentle, silent, suddenly disappear. When the last black hole in the universe disappears, there will be no sound and no trace. By then, the whole universe will finally become an empty, quiet stage. Sorry, I must tell you that the end of the black hole era is not even the strangest stage. But next, I promise to tell you that after the black hole evaporates, many people think that the universe will be completely empty after the black hole disappears. In fact, it is not. Although it looks empty, there are some more basic things such as atoms and electrons. You may think that they are so small that they don't matter at all, but they are very important because all the atoms and all the bases of matter are these invisible little guys. For a long time, scientists have believed that atoms are stable and will never break. But later scientists found that it was not so simple. In the 1970s, two very powerful physicists, Huahuata Qiaji and Xideng Galaxiao, studied a big unified theory and came up with a very shocking conclusion. That is, atoms may not be stable, they will break slowly, but their lives are too long. Scientists estimate that the life of an atom is at least 10 to the power of 34 times, which is more than 11 billion years, which is more than the age of the universe. But the universe is not in a hurry at all. It has time. As long as you give it enough time, even if the probability is small, it will happen in the end. So in the distant future, the last batch of atoms in the universe will also begin to crumble. At that time, there is really no complete atom in the universe, only a perfect vacuum and a thin radiation that cannot be thinner. Can you imagine that scene? A universe without atoms, without stars, even the most basic particles do not exist. That is the real end of the universe. But do you think it's over here? It's definitely not over. What's more strange is that the real thing that makes scientists feel headache is only revealed at this time. We usually say vacuum, vacuum. Do you think vacuum is an empty space with nothing? In fact, it is not. In physics, vacuum is not really empty, but a space that contains energy. In other words, you think it's empty, but there are some invisible things behind it. The key problem is here, that is, the vacuum of the universe may not be the most stable state now. What does it mean? Simply put, it's like a small ball stopping on a half mountain. Although it looks good, as long as there is a small wave, it will fall down at any time and roll to the bottom of the valley. Scientists suspect that the vacuum of our universe is the unstable vacuum that may fall down at any time, which is called the Yawantai vacuum. If this is true, it's a little scary. Because of a random quantum field, a corner of the universe suddenly falls into a truly stable vacuum. This is called vacuum decay. Once the vacuum decay occurs, the true vacuum bubble will expand rapidly and swallow everything in an instant, completely erasing the old state of the universe. The most dramatic thing is that this change is not an explosion, not a crash, nor is there any warning. It's just that the laws of physics are completely rewritten in every corner of the universe. That is to say, all the rules we are familiar with now, such as gravity, electromagnetic force, and even atoms, will completely change the new vacuum state. It may even completely reject the existence of atoms and any complex structures. It may not even allow time to exist. This means that where this vacuum bubble is locked, even existence itself may be meaningless. You may think that this kind of thing is far away from us, so you don't have to worry at all. But the most terrifying thing is that the vacuum decay. Scientists say that it can happen anytime. Maybe it's a remote corner of the universe, or maybe it's inside a certain atom in front of us. There is no sign, there is no warning. But don't worry, the probability of this happening is extremely low. But after all, the universe is infinitely long, and it always happens once. And the real shock is that when the universe is completely erased, this newly generated vacuum bubble may give birth to a completely new universe. That's right, in theory, our universe may have been born in the ruins of the previous universe. The universe is constantly born, destroyed, and reincarnated again and again. Isn't it strange? But what if one day the power of the universe to restart is completely used up? You may be curious about what the universe is left at that time. Scientists told us that at that time, the universe would really become completely empty, cold, quiet, and become a completely forbidden space. But the strangest thing is that there is one thing that can't be stopped at all, which is quantum mechanics. It sounds complicated, but in fact, space is constantly fluctuating at an extremely low level. Even if there is nothing in the universe, space itself is still fluctuating. Scientists found that if you are willing to wait long enough, quantum fluctuation may even randomly create anything. And this anything is a real anything. No kidding, a grain of sand, a drop of water, even a complete brain can theoretically appear in the empty universe all of a sudden. You heard it right, it is a complete brain that can think. The physicist who manages this strange phenomenon is called Boltzmann's brain. His name is Boltzmann, a physicist from more than 100 years ago. He proposed that in a completely random world, as long as the waiting time is long enough, strange events with extremely low probability will happen sooner or later in the infinitely long future universe. This crazy phenomenon is not only possible, but also almost inevitable. What's even more ridiculous is that scientists think that such a complete brain may be more than the brain produced by natural evolution. What does it mean? It means that in the distant future universe, most of the consciousness may just appear and disappear in an instant. If so, it will completely subvert our understanding of existence and life. And if the universe has not changed and only the instantaneous consciousness of random birth remains, do you think time is meaningless? In fact, scientists believe that time does not exist independently. It depends on change and difference. When the universe completely changes and there is no difference, the concept of time itself may no longer exist. Simply put, at that stage, time may not stop and will not continue to flow, but will completely lose the meaning of existence. The universe will eventually become a place with no past and no future. After saying so much, you may suddenly feel that human beings are too small in front of such a cosmic ending. Let's put it this way, our entire human civilization has only been around for thousands of years, but the stories of the universe we just talked about are often calculated in billions of years. From this perspective, human beings are simply a blink of an eye in the universe. But if you think about it carefully, have you ever noticed a particularly strange fact? Although humans are so small and short, they have a story to understand all this. The universe took such a long time to be born, from the star to be completely extinguished, from black holes to evaporate and disappear. This whole super long story was actually born. We are such a small species that can observe it, think about it, and even predict its future. In other words, the birth of the universe, the evolution and the ending seem to have arranged a grand show. And we humans are the lucky audience who happen to pass by the scene, and may even be the only audience. We were born in a golden age just in time for the most exciting part, and we actually understood the plot and even predicted what would happen next. Do you think this is lucky or not? Maybe the real meaning of our existence is that we have a chance to understand the universe and understand ourselves. No matter what the universe will eventually become, at least at this moment, you are living in an era that can make you understand these things. We can't decide the ending of the universe, but we can decide how we view it.